Hello class, Mr. Poole here with a bonus science lesson today. Okay, today we're going to take a break from math and we're going to do a bonus science lesson because I know you love science. Okay, and I love math and I love science, but this is really a good one. I really enjoy this one. Okay, all right, here is the lesson. We were talking about food chains and food webs. Okay, and I want to talk to you about something. What happens when the food chain is working normally and everything's going good? It's all good. The food chain's working out and the environment is really good and everything's great. It's wonderful. But what happens when there's stuff like a drought? What is a drought? Yeah, a drought is when there's no rain. When an area gets no rain, then a drought occurs. And the environment can change when there's a drought. Or what about a flood? You know what a flood is. Yeah, when we get too much rain. We've had a lot of rain in Texas this year. And when we get too much rain, it floods. And you have too much water and the environment can change then also. Okay, how about when there's a forest fire? Yeah, those happen. Not too often, but they do happen. And when there's a forest fire, it can change the environment. I'm going to show you today how the environment can change because of that. Okay, first of all, I've been using the word environment. What is environment? Okay. Environment is anything around you. Okay, so anything around you. Okay, that means anything around where you live. So part of your environment might be your backyard. Part of your environment are your brothers and sisters. Part of your environment is your house. It's where you live. It's where you go play. If you go play at a park, if you go walking down the street, that's part of your environment. Okay, it's all those things that you come in contact with every day. That's part of your environment. The computer now is part of your environment. It was probably part of your environment before, but now it's part of your school environment, right? Because that's how we're learning. We're learning online with computers and with laptops and Chromebooks. Okay, so that's part of our environment now. It's just anything around you. Okay, markers are part of my environment. Okay. And videos are part of my environment. That's what I do almost every day now. Okay, so that's your environment, anything around you. Okay, so animals have three choices. When there's a forest fire, and say in a food chain, say there was an extreme drought, and say those fish, in my example, those fish were eating those bees. Well, now the lake dried up and now all the fish are gone. So what's going to happen to the bee population? What's going to happen to those bees that are flying around? And the fish used to come out and eat those and they used to have them as a little snack. Now there's a drought, which means no rain, and the lake dried up and now all the fish in the lake died and they're gone. And now they're not eating the bees. What happens to the bee population? Think about it for a minute. What's going to happen to the bee population? Are they going to go away? Or are they going to get larger? Is the bee population going to get larger? Yeah, the bee population is going to get larger because they don't have that consumer, those fish, eating those bees. So therefore, the bee population is going to kind of go out of control and there's going to be a lot of extra bees around. So that's how it can change the environment. Okay, and then what happens to the big fish? The big fish, obviously, if the lake dried up and there's a drought, the big fish are gone too, right? So there's no little fish, there's no big fish. What happens to the fishermen then? They're not there anymore, right? The fishermen aren't going to come back and fish if the lake's not there. Okay, so it changes that food chain dramatically. Okay, on an event like that, on a drought, a flood, a forest fire. Okay, and you can think of hundreds of examples. Okay, you might think of your own. Talk to your parents about that. Okay, and then pay attention to this. Now, animals, when there's a forest fire, a flood, or drought conditions, okay, they have three choices. They can migrate, adapt, or die. And we're going to talk about each one of those. Now, I always say, remember that by animals get mad. Okay, and that's the first letter of each of these. So migrate. What does migrate mean? Have you heard of the word migrate? If you're not sure, stop this and Google it and look it up. Look it up right there on your Chromebook. Okay. Otherwise, I will tell you. Okay, migrate means move to another place. So they can migrate. They can move somewhere else. Okay, if the water dries up and they used to go to the water to drink, okay, then they can move somewhere else. They can go down to the next water hole. They can move a few miles away and there's more water there. Okay, or they can adapt. They can adapt. Okay, that means change to your environment. Okay, so you can adapt. Right now, we are adapting, aren't we? We are still learning. We are still in school, yet we can't be in the school building. So we are adapting right now. We are changing to our environment. Okay, this coronavirus has us adapting as humans. So we are adapting to the situation. Okay, so that's a way a way an animal might adapt. Let's say there was a forest fire and it burned down all the berry bushes. It burned all the berry bushes down. Okay, and let's say these deer only ate the berry bushes. They ate the little berries off the bushes, and that's all the deer ate. So let's say they burned down and they were gone. Okay, what could the deer do? They could migrate, they could move, right? They could go somewhere else where there's berry bushes. They could adapt. Maybe they start eating grass now. Maybe the deer are going to say, hey, grass isn't as good, but I'm going to eat that grass instead. Okay, so that's them adapting. They're adapting to their environment. Until the berry bushes come back after the fire is done, okay, and maybe it might be a year, it might be 6 months, it might be, just a month. But they're adapting. They're going to eat the grass instead of the berry bushes. The last option that animals have to do is die. Okay? And I hope you know what die means, but if you don't, that means they're gone. They die. And they give up. Okay? That means they give up. Now, I don't know too many animals that just give up. Animals are fighters. They are probably going to do one of these one of these as much as they can. Now, their last option is to die and give up. Okay, so it happens occasionally. Sometimes animals do die because they starve, or they don't have the food, or they don't have the right conditions in their environment. So sometimes they do die, but they're going to fight as much as they can to survive. So they're probably going to do one of these two first, and then if they can't do these two, then they're going to die. All right. So what I want you to write about, now today is when you're going to write the 5 to 7 sentences. You're going to write me a short little paragraph. Make sure you use complete sentences, capital at the beginning, punctuation at the end. Spell those words correctly. Make sure it's neat so I can read it. I have to read these, so please make sure it's neat. Okay, so tell me when there's a change in the environment. So a flood, drought, or maybe even a forest fire or a fire. Okay, how does the food web or food chain change? That's what you're going to write me about. Now, I've spoke a little bit of it here. Okay, so I want to see how good you've been paying attention. And you can always Google these lessons online, okay, too. Okay, but all right, well, I'll just let you get to work. Okay, I'm done for today. All right, and I'm looking forward to your paragraphs. Okay, make sure they're neat and send them to me through that Canvas app. All right, bye guys. Have a good day. Bye.